Alright guys, welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven, as you know, and this video is going to be very different from a lot of videos we've done in the past, and this is kind of going to be a new thing we're doing here at the channel. As all of you guys know by now, or some of you, most of you, whoever's, watching me a lot, I work at a distillery now, and I'm not just doing like social media or other things like that, selling booze. I'm also making some booze. So I'm gonna start vlogging kind of distillery life, running a distillery, managing a distillery, doing distillery type things, mashing, distilling, maybe even selling, who the heck knows. I really haven't thought that far through this process. But basically, I'm gonna document my learning experience, learning curve as far as making whiskey goes. The distillery I'm working for here in Arizona, it's in Tempe actually, it's called Adventurous Stills. Hit me up, my email's in the comments down below. If you're in Arizona, come stop by. It'd be dope to kind of meet some more of you guys in person. But let's get right into it, starting off with day number 1 of vlogging. This will be my 4th mashing run. Currently I did 1 solo, 2 with the master distiller, so this will be the 4th one. So the second one I do completely on my own. The first one is currently still fermenting in the mash tun. So since we're mashing tomorrow, I'm gonna mill the day before just to make my life a little bit easier, because we do have 950 some pounds of malt that I need to mill, and that's just gonna take way too long to do that all tomorrow. So let's get right into it. Let's go mill some grains. Alrighty, now we're a little bit more in the back. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm gonna work on this whole thing. I still got a lot to learn, and I do apologize if it gets loud. We got equipment in here. That's a mash tun. The auger's currently mixing it in so I can get an accurate reading of how well the fermentation I did last week is actually going, and if it will be ready to distill or not today. But this bad mamma jamma right here, this big old hunkin' thing with a little hopper and a little wheel that grinds things, this is our problem for today. This is our problem child. We need to mill, like I said, about 950 pounds of grains today. Right up there, I don't know, yep, right up there. That is about 15 bags, so that's about 700, 800 grains. And then right down here, those are our specialty grains. We're gonna go through about a few hundred pounds of those, and we gotta mill all those. So I'm gonna kind of set you all up, and we're gonna start pulling out some bags. Let's mill some grains. And I should mention, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, right now we're just doing American single malt. It's one of the easier mashes to mill or make, because not necessarily mill because it's a lot of grain to mill, but it's one of the easier ones to make because there's only 1 grain, so it's less sensitive or less complicated than the others. That's why I'm starting out with it. You got a baby step, walk, crawl, run, you know how it goes. So now that we got the grain, we need a mill. Basically, the hopper that sends the grain, this mills it, and then we catch it in these little baskets down here. So let's go get some grain, dump it in here, start milling it. Usually helps if you plug in the freaking mill in the first place. Let's do that. And mill. So that is basically going to take a few hours for us to mill all this grain over there to basically have it prepped and ready to go for tomorrow. So I'm just gonna let that do its thing, or I'm gonna periodically kind of be going back and forth. But you know, I'm probably not gonna film a lot of it because it's gonna take a few hours. It's gonna be pretty boring, and all it's gonna do is that. It's like if you've ever ground coffee before, that's what it is. It's not very exciting, so we're gonna just kind of skip past it, time lapse it, whatever that like time works. I don't know what freaking vloggy YouTuber people do, but that's basically what we're gonna freaking do. And in the meantime, we got a few other things to check out, so let's get on to those. So with us mashing tomorrow, we're gonna need a lot of hot water. A lot of hot water. And the only way for us to do that with our equipment, because we're gonna need hot water at like 205 degrees or so, that giant tub right back there, the one over my left shoulder, your right, I don't know, from your orientation, whatever, that hot water tub needs to be filled up and turned on to heat up some water. So that's what we're gonna do now. Well, we're worried about that melon just doing its own thing. Yeah, I know, not super fancy, it's just a garden hose, but it does what we need it to. And like I said previously, we actually currently have a mash going on. That's gonna be my first solo mash right over my shoulder. That's our mash tun, by the way. So we currently have it fermenting, you know, it's fermenting, and in order to make sure it's doing its job, we need to get 2 readings. We need to check the pH to make sure the pH hasn't gone out of whack, because sometimes it will. As well as we need to check the Brix, which basically, to sum it up, is like the sugar content. It's a reflection of how much sugar and water is in the mixture, and if it's more sugar, it reflects differently. I don't know, the science is a little bit above my head. That being said, we need to actually get a reading, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. I don't know if y'all will be able to see this through that. Maybe something like that. I don't know. That is the reflection. Like I said earlier, this one from my reading is about 6.5 or so. As it gets lower, seemingly it gets a little bit more hazier and hazier, and it's a little less of a defined line. But 6.5 Brix means we're pretty much done with it. So I'm gonna plug it into, we have this handy dandy little spreadsheet on my computer right here. So we're gonna take a reading, and we're gonna see roughly about how much alcohol is in the mash now. And I do apologize if the camera's shaking. This metal table is not the thickest metal. It's kind of one of those, you know, food safety shelves or whatever. So it's a little, so I do apologize if you feel rattling, or it's like, it appears like you're rattling. It's because you are. But I'm trying not to lean on it for y'all. Yeah, so right now we're checking the refractometer, so basically the Brix. We're checking the temperature, the time, and the pH. So temp on the mash tun, 85.9. So temp on the mash tun is 85.9, and then pH, pH is going to be about 4.2, 4.3, which, yeah, it looked like I read 4.2 yesterday. All right. So right now we're sitting at 6.5 Brix, and according to our original reading, that means that's about like an 8.6% beer. So it's getting really, really close to the end of its fermentation process. We usually stop around 8 or 9%. So we're gonna let it sit, obviously, for a few more days just to make sure we get everything we can out of that. But that means that that one's pretty much squared away, so we're ready to start mashing a new one. And then the next day we should be able to strip still this mash. So excited about that. Alrighty, now that we have completed the milling, it's time to clean up all of this ridiculous amounts of dust that is literally all over the freaking place. All right, now it is relatively clean in here, so that's pretty much it as far as the distilling process, as far as, you know, mashing process, distilling process. That's about all we're doing for that today. That being said, this is Zach. You're gonna see him in videos from time to time when I am blogging and whatnot. Blogging? What's that?
Vlogging?
That's what it's vlogging? I don't know. Okay, but yeah, just really quickly, without skipping a beat, what are we doing here?
I am checking the temperature on this so we can get an accurate measure of the proof to ensure it's how we want it when we throw it in cask.
Okay, so yeah, essentially you're working on, oh geez, I don't know how to hold this camera. Essentially you're working on basically proofing down an existing American single malt to, you know, bottle it, or not bottle it, cask it.
Yep.
Put it in a cask. Smith it? Is that what it's called? Smithing in the industry?
That's what we call it here.
Okay. I don't know. We don't know what we're doing clearly. But yeah, that's actually the second American single malt I made along with our master distiller here. So he's working on proofing that down because our barrel entry proof for everything here is around 110, plus or minus, you know, 0.1, you know, proof because math, science, all that jazz. Last thing for us to get done today before we head out of here, Zach is currently now completely proofed down that American single malt, and our American single malt's a little different than your average American single malt because we age it in our ex-rye cask, or ex-rye casks in general. Currently we don't really have too many ex-rye casks we need, so we actually bought some Willet casks right here, and we're kind of doing Willet ex-rye casks for our American single malt, at least for the meantime until we get a few more rye casks. So Zach, tell me what we're doing right here.
We're just topping off this cask here. It's a standard 53-gallon cask, and hopefully we'll get all 53 gallons of single malt in it.
Hell yeah. That's pretty much it as far as what we are doing here today. We got everything ready for tomorrow. We got our hot liquor tank filled up with water. It's programmed to heat up there. We have our cold liquor tank, which we basically have it just set up really high so it gravity feeds the water down into the mash tun for us. And that's used to kind of cool it down. So hot water to heat it up, cold water to cool it down. We make it work like that. So yeah, pretty much we are at a standstill for today as far as making things happen. So this is where I'm gonna leave you guys. Thanks for watching this video. You know, please do me the favor, like, comment, subscribe. Definitely 100% since this is a first one I'm actually doing of these. Leave comments. I want your feedback. You know, good, bad, ugly, all that under the sun. So please give me your feedback. I really want that. But yeah, that's a wrap for today's video. Cheers, y'all. We'll see you later.